In this video, I'm going to go through how to calculate the height of a cylinder if you know the volume of it and you also know the radius of it. Now, just a little reminder, we got to go back to our formulas. I'll start with this one. That's the one that I like to remember all the time. Volume equals area of the base times the height. But then this one kind of puts in the area of the base, not kind of, it does. It puts in the area of the base, which is a circle, the pi r squared. There's the area of the base. So those are the formulas or formula, I'd like to think of, that we're going to use to help us solve problems like this. So I start with this one where I have a cylinder, and I notice in this formula, or in this problem, it gives us the volume of our cylinder. So we know the volume is 90 pi cubic centimeters. The only other piece that we know is, we know this is the diameter, notice. But if we go back to this page, notice we need the radius to help us in the formula. So I come back to this and I go, well, if the diameter is 6 centimeters, then that's going to tell me that my radius has to be 3 centimeters. So just that much of it. Now, I can use that formula that we had from the previous page that said volume equals area of the base, which is right here, and then times the height. And now it's just a matter of plugging in the things that we know. Well, I know that V is 90 pi. And that might look a little different for some of you, but it's okay, just put it in there. I'll show you why this is going to be nice. Then it says pi. Well, I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to leave it as a black pi. There we go. Times the radius, which is 3. We have to then square it, and then we have to multiply it by the height. The problem is we don't know the height, so I'm just going to leave that as h. Maybe it's helpful to put that on our picture. Now it's a matter of solving this equation. So when I go through to solve this, I'm going to clean up the right side. 3 squared is 9, so I have 9 pi, and then h equal to our 90 pi. Now what I notice on this one is, if I want to get that h all by itself, I have to get rid of the 9 pi. So I'm going to divide this side by 9 pi. My 9s are going to divide out. My pi's are going to divide out. All I'm left with is h. Well, then I have to do the exact same thing on this side. I have to divide by 9 pi. What's nice about this is the pi's divide out, and now we just have 90 divided by 9, which is 10. So that tells me that the height of this cylinder is 10 centimeters. And we just figured out the height when we were given the volume and the radius. Now I have another one here. Very similar problem. The only difference is in this one, it gives us our volume again, but notice this time the volume is a rounded number. And this time it also gives us the radius. So we don't have to figure it out like we did in the last one where it gave the diameter and we had to figure out the radius. But the other piece that I look at in this one, it tells us that pi is 3.14, or that's the approximation that we're going to use. Now, I'm still going to use the same formula that I did last time. Volume equals the area of the base times height. And I'm going to plug in the things that I know. So this time, my volume is 1,406.72 equal to, well, pi times the radius. Well, radius is 8 this time. I have to square it, and then got to multiply it by the height. Height is the piece that we don't know. And again, that would be right here, the distance in between those two bases. So now I have to solve this equation. Take a look at the left side. Well, nothing to do here. I'm going to leave that as 1,406.72 equal to now pi times 8 squared times h. That I'm going to go to my calculator now. Since I've rounded this volume on this side, I'm going to round my values on this side. So I go to my calculator and I type in, oops, let's go back here. So we have pi, and it tells us to use 3.14, so 3.14 now times, I can type 8 squared, or I could just hit 64 because I know that one off the top of my head, but I did it there. That comes out to be 200.96. So I come back here and I write down 200.96 H. Well, then to finish this, I just need to get the H by itself. I'll divide both sides by 200.96. 200.96. This side comes out to be H equal to, and then I'm going to go back to my calculator. So now I'm going to type in 1,406.72. I'm going to divide it by, and on this calculator I can just jump back up and grab that number, push enter, and I find out that the answer is 7. So in this problem, my height came out to be 7, and this one is feet. Get the proper label on it, and I've done it. And we are now complete with our video on calculating the height of a cylinder when we know the volume and we know the radius.